Hey, well, good morning to you. I hope you're having a great morning today. I hope everything is going good for you. I hope you woke up this morning with your mind fixed, your heart ready to face another day. You know, I want to speak to you this morning. I want to share some things that are near and dear to my heart. I'm out here on the property that my family owns, and we own this beautiful property out in rural Hines County. And I've spent a lot of my life out here working, building fences, working hard, man, experiencing hunting, fishing, all of those things. So today, I want to talk to you and I want to share some stuff with you. I think it's really important that we understand. So good morning, Shana Fortenberry. Good morning, Javo Gladney. How you doing? Hope everything's going great with y'all. But I want to share some important things with you. I think some things that are important, and I just want to spend a little time sharing with you. Good morning, Bertha Norman. How you doing? Hey, glad you're watching. Hey, share with this with as many people as you can, y'all. Good morning, Zachary Patterson, the greatest youth pastor on this side of heaven. We'll say, brother, hey, God bless you, man. I hope everything's going great with y'all. Well, I want to share with you something about change. Hey, Annette Simpson. Yesterday I shared in my message that change is by choice. The changes we make are by choice. We don't get to just change because others say. I'm just telling you, we change when we make choices to change. And so I'm glad y'all doing good. Hey, Carla Nix, how you doing? God bless you. God keep you. Listen, I want you to understand something. That if we're going to experience change, it has to be because we make choices, right? So whatever you want different in your life, you have to make a choice. We have to make choices about what we do. And so when you look at your life and you look across your life and you see the decision that you make, here's something so important. Understand that your month will dictate your year. So Christopher Kerr, what you do in the month will dictate what your year looks like, right? And what you do in the year dictates what decades are like, and what you do weekly dictates your month. In other words, every day we're making decisions, and these decisions impact where we end up. They impact the change. They impact what we're doing. It impacts who we are and where we go. So I made some decisions. We've made decisions about changing. And so I made some decisions in my life about change and what I must do to help bring about change. First of all, in my own life, in the life of my family, in the life of my friends. And it's so important that you understand there are moves and things that we do in order to bring about change. And anybody that does not want to change is living in fantasy world. And I think it's so important and so critical that you and I make decisions about what it is we want in the different aspects of our life. And then we get a plan to make decisions about what we're going to do, right? So you can't expect things to just stay the same. We can't expect things just be okay and to just work out, because it doesn't work that way. We have to make hard decisions oftentimes to help things work out, to make things work out. Yeah, we know God is in control of all things, but at the end of the day, you've got to make decisions. Well, here are a couple of things you need to listen to and you need to hear. Here's some things you need to think about. Let's start here. What changes do you need in your financial life? Okay? What changes do you need? Well, in my mind, I believe that I need to have more money in savings. I believe I need to have more money invested. All those things are things that's when I have to make a decision about what I'm doing. And if I want to change my life, then I got to change my financial life by doing something different. So you need to look at, or you have to look at your life and say, what is it that I want different, whether it be my finance, whether it be my health. I walked 2 miles this morning. Why? Because I want to be healthier, right? I want to be healthier. I want to have more energy. I want to have more strength. Okay. And somebody say, oh, just 2 miles. But you got to start where you are. I can walk 10 miles. However, I'm starting where I am, and I'm pushing myself to make sure that I'm living the best life I can live and live a healthy life. But we also have to make decisions about other aspects of our life. And some of them we don't have as much control over. You know, you can demand more on your job, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your employer is going to agree with that. You can demand more out of your spouse, but it's a give and a take. We can demand more out of our leadership, which we need to be demanding a lot out of our leadership, and particularly in the political realm. We got to demand more, guys. We got to expect more. Right now in the city of Jackson, there's a court proceeding going on regarding who can negotiate the contract to pick up trash. And let me explain something to you. Regardless of what the outcome is, let me explain to you that the sad commentary is that it even is taking a court case to decide who picks trash up out the street. That is a complete failure of our democratic system, that now it is being challenged about how contracts are awarded. I mean, for somebody that doesn't mean anything. Let me explain to you why it means so much. Can I explain that to you without you jumping the gun? Because I'm not taking sides right here. Let me explain to you. One of the reasons that is so critical is because you got to understand that the contract is significant because wealth building in community. In other words, when a black-owned contractor, when a black company has a contract in a black community, it is more likely that they will spend money inside of that black community. So it's more likely they'll spend money inside of that black community. It is more likely that the people that hire that are in position of authority will live or have connections to that black community. It's more likely they'll go to a black doctor in that community, or use a black lawyer in that community, or use a black repairman to repair trucks in that community. All those things are significant. And so oftentimes we look at it and say it doesn't matter, but it does matter. And one of the things that Jackson, Mississippi needs is economic impact, okay? And I get that, Victor, I get that. I understand he find the best vendor at the best price. It is that simple. You're absolutely right, but hear me out. If the process is done and he presents the best vendor, but there are underlying work going on where people and a council is refusing to award it to the cheapest and best, and they want to give it back to the company that has had it all this time, what happens after that? What do we say? What do we do? How do we move the needle? And that's what's going on right now. That's what we have. And when you look at it, you say, man, that shouldn't matter, but it does matter that we work together. It does matter that we do what needs to be done. And guess what? We've got to do that for all people. And I agree with you. They're holding the city hostage, and I agree with you, brother. And so how do we fight this? How do we say, okay, enough is enough? Well, the way we do that is we got to start at the very foundation, and we got to make sure that we're holding accountable those that are being elected into office. Now, I say this very cautiously because, as I'll cover later, I've made a decision to be a candidate for a state senator, District 29, which covers rural Hinds County and the city of Jackson. And I have places, residents in both parts of the city and both parts of my district. And I believe that this is direct, but people got to be held accountable. And so now we're coming up on elections, right? First, it's a state election. And we got to take a real serious look, right, of who we elect. Two, a year or two after that, you have the city elections. And what is so normal in Jackson is we forget who did what, and we just go cast votes for the same people over and over again. Listen, guys, we have got to put our heads and hearts together to work this. We got to put our heads and hearts together to change the dynamics of what we're experiencing. If we're going to have life better for our children, for our children's children, it is important that we work together. It's important, right? That we stand up and we do something. And all of us, you're right, man, we got to all step up. We got to all make a decision. And what I understand, everybody's not going to like that. You know, somebody told me that I think Representative Earl Banks and Senator Solly Norwood were on the radio, and they are unequivocally supporters of David Blunt and so forth and so on. And people say, well, how do you feel about that? I don't feel a way about that. People have the right to support who they want to support. But what concerns me is this. What concerns me is the same ineffectiveness is kind of across the board. And so I would expect for them not to want a person that's going to stand for righteous. What's right? I expect for them to not to want change. They want to keep things going the way they want it to go, because I'm telling you, it's so critical that we fight against and we have voices to speak out. Because what ends up happening is we get the same thing over and over again. What has happened even in our state government, it's the same thing over and over again. And what we come to find out, that most of them in the Hinds County delegation were working with the Republicans to pass these bills. And it was not an outcry until the people rose up to say something. And yeah, they voted against it, but they voted against it after they had worked to formulate it. They've been supporting it all this time. Well, that's water under the bridge. What I'm telling you is we got to make decisions as a people, man, to change the narrative. We got to make a decision to change our city. I believe that Hinds County and the city of Jackson is preparing for a come up. And I believe we can come up, and I believe we can change what we're dealing with. And I believe we got to stand together, and we got to unify across racial, across political, across lines to say we are going to work this together. We're going to fight together to make this happen. We must do it together. What I'm asking you is to join me on the front lines, right? Join me on the front lines, because I'm going to keep doing what it is I'm supposed to do to help our people. Join me on the front lines to help change the course of Hinds County, the city of Jackson. It is the lowest of low that we have garbage on the street. It is the lowest of low that we've gone through this crisis with water. And what I'm telling you is no more. And let's stand together to hold our elected officials accountable. Because right now, they are attempting to hold us hostage. And let me just say this. They very well might go to court and the judge sides with the city council. I don't know what the judge is going to do. And this is not a knock against the judge. I don't know who the judge is, but what I tell you is, for years, have they tried to use legal positions and all that stuff. You know, the courts are not favorable of the city of Jackson and the mayor of Jackson. It seems to be a conspiracy. It seems to be a conspiracy. And Jones, I understand it. But man, people that need the most help, listen, they need the most help. They are the hardest to help. And I've been working with people for years, and I'm telling you, brother, the people that need the most help are the hardest to help, and oftentimes they're the hardest to help because they got so much pain and they're holding so much stuff, and they have not had the opportunity that many of us have had. And so we got to be able to see that and ride past that and still be willing to help them. And that's what my heart is. Let's help. Let's work together, Christopher Curry. Let's work together, Charles Rogers. Let's put together and put behind us the differences that we had. One of the greatest blessings I've had was this lady. I don't know her, but she said, I'm not a fan of this pastor, but he's right about this. And guess what? I'm not trying to build fans. What I'm trying to do is build people who build community. I want to be a people who build community, who build families, who build cities, who build a state, who builds a region, who builds a nation. You know, when I found out years ago that minority vendors only receive 0.01% of all of the state of Mississippi's contracts, 0.01% minority vendors only were receiving 0.01%. And I have not done the study, but I don't think that number has changed. So when you look across the board and you understand that, you understand the poverty of this place. You understand the poverty of people. Please hear me out. 0.01%. 0.01%. So now, even though we are growing in population and we actually have enough blacks now that if we can come together, we could actually elect a statewide representative. We could actually do that if we would come together. But what has happened is they put in the same tricks that they pulled back in history. What are they doing? They are deliberately turning one against another, and we keep falling for the same thing. And so they know if we can keep turning one against another, they can win. Man, listen, in this process over the last couple of years, I've been lied on. I've been falsely accused. I've been accused of attempting to bribe somebody. But guess what, Victor? The news covered it, man, with unbelievable coverage against me. But when the city councilman had to recant his statement, and when we settled where he recanted the statement and said Pickett had done nothing wrong, none of them covered that. Nobody came to interview me about that. Nobody wanted to talk to me about that part, right? And all these social media influencers, nobody came back and said, hey, can we talk about the fact that your name has been cleared? You know why? Because they're not really looking for truth. What they want is whatever will tear down an individual. And the key is, if you cut off the head of the leader, if you cut off the head, you can control the body. So I don't claim to be a leader in this city. I just claim to be one crying out in the wilderness. And I'm unapologetic. I'm a man of God. I'm unapologetically not a perfect man. Unapologetically, I'm a believer. I'm a follower of Jesus. Unapologetically, but I deal with people that don't believe the way I believe. I can stand with people that don't believe the way I believe about issues, and they playing the game, right? They playing the game, and we got to stand up and fight back, and we got to fight back and be determined that regardless of what it looks like. Regardless of those, and we cannot hold grudges. I hold no grudge against those that have falsely accused me. I hold no grudge against those that refuse to come back and say, you know what, I was wrong. It's okay with me. But what ain't okay with me is that we keep doing the same thing. They keep doing the same thing, right? And they try to throw it away and say, oh, he's friends with this guy and this guy this guy that. Man, Jesus was a friend of publicans and sinners. Dude, I've been dealing with the least of these all of my ministry. I've been dealing with people on the edge. That's who I am. And I will always do that. And I don't turn my back on people when and if they mess up. I'm just not cut that way because I know I need the grace of God. So listen, guys. It's that time for Jackson to come up. I know a lot of people say, hey, I'm getting out of here, I'm moving, and that's your right, okay? But this is what you got to understand is we're going to come up, and we're going to rise again. And I'm telling you, Jackson, Mississippi is going to rise. And it's going to be one of the top cities to live in, right? One of the top, it's going to rise again. And all of those that flock to these major cities, man, I'm behind you. Go and enjoy it. If you love it, it's a great place for me to visit. But I know this, I've been called to Jackson, Mississippi, Hinds County, to give my life to serve other people in the least of these. We've got to stand for the least of these. And we got to hold accountable all people. Listen, we can do that. We can do it together. Now, I want to warn you, and that I want to tell you now, listen, that you know, there are bills that are sitting on the governor's desk. And if the governor signs those bills, we need to be prepared for a different type of environment, right? An environment where the Capitol Police has jurisdiction, right? And they're going to wreak havoc in our community. And it appears they're going to do so without any accountability. You know, I agree that we got to change our culture. But I want to say something to y'all, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. When Jalen Lewis was killed, not injured, but killed, massacred by the Capitol Police Special Unit, and we went to the Department of Justice, we went to the FBI, there were all kinds of reports, we finally got media attention, all those things. But listen, there's something else wrong. A young man in Starkville, Mississippi, and I feel for his family, took his life because of sextortion. Okay? And sextortion is a horrible crime. It's a horrible thing. It's horrible that happened to him. I feel for his family, for his father, and I stand with him in faith for healing. But one thing is, immediately the FBI got involved. Immediately the FBI has even been interviewed talking about sextortion in his case. And here's the problem I got. The problem I have is this. The problem I have is, how is it that a white family immediately gets the support of a whole community, a whole state, the news media? They're running it over and over again, but black families don't get nothing. It's the same racist stuff. And Mr. Word, Johnny Word, listen to me, brother. I have supported police for 53 years of my life. You understand that? So you can welcome them, but I don't welcome anybody that has no accountability. I don't welcome anybody that can kill and shoot into people's homes, make no reports, chase people to their death. I do not welcome them that way, okay? So it's, everybody has their own view about that. And until they can give some accountability and some satisfaction that they mean for the well-being of all people, then no, they're not welcome in my mind. And it sounds good, and it might be good for you, but it don't mean nothing to me, because it ain't what happened to me, right? And what happened to my own son, who had done nothing. They didn't even have charges for him. Now, I don't want to get on that, because I try not to stay on my son's case, that, by the way, that they have not given any answers for, because they made a decision. They can pick on who they want to. And I'm telling you, I've learned this. Until it happened at your house, Johnny Word, it don't mean nothing to us. Until they snatch one of your relatives for no reason, it don't mean nothing to you, right? I mean, think about this. Think about your father, grandfather, your son, grandson, riding down the street and gets targeted just because. If you've never lived that, and you don't appreciate my concern. So my fight is not against police. My fight against the lack of accountability and transparency. They shot Tasha Smith while she lay in her bed. They shot her. The bullet went through her daughter's window. Did you hear about it? Did you read about it? Was there any accountability? No, because they don't have to be accountable to anybody. They can do what they want to do. So, listen, y'all. I don't want to waste your time. I'm certainly not going to waste mine. But what I made a decision to do is keep fighting against the injustices and the things that happen to our community and the things that happen to people unjustly. And all I'm asking you to do is join me in that fight. Because I made up my mind. I'm going to fight for the people. Period. Point blank. No question there. There's so much more I can tell you. There's so much more going on, but I fear I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to repeat the fact that a state superintendent was hired that was black, that the state Senate voted against him and would not approve him, even though the state Board of Education had already hired him, and it was just a formality, but he was black, and they voted against him. Those are the kind of things that we're up against. But we got to keep on pushing. We got to keep on fighting. We got to keep on going. I love y'all. Hey, God bless y'all. I just want to share my heart this Monday morning. God bless. Peace.